Good morning everyone. I am Adarshan. Here I will be giving a small session on the topic logical design of IoT system using Python. We know that in the present scenario there is a vast development in the case of IoT system or IoT systems are developing from day to day life. The reason behind this is that the IoT system help us to get or gather information from a far distant place without the help of human to human or human to machine interaction, and the data gathered is sent to a different place or to a device via internet or networks. So this is the main reason why the IoT systems are needed more in the present scenario, which means in the real time we can get the information from a different place, we can analyze the information and we can act on the information without human interaction. So let's see the topics. Contents. The various topics discussed in my seminar are Introduction to IoT System, Introduction to Python Programming, Python Data Types, the data types used in Python, Control Flow, the main loops and control flow statements used in Python, Functions, how do we define a function in Python, File IO operation or file input output operation, which means how data from a file is taken or how data is given to an external file, etc. IoT system. The Internet of Things is a system of interrelated computing devices, mechanical and digital machines, objects, animals or people that are provided with unique identifiers and the ability to transfer data over a network without requiring human to human or human to computer interaction. So from the name itself we understood that Internet of Things means the things are connected to the internet, and the things, all the things, which means things can be mechanical, can be digital machines, can be sensors, etc. or actuators, etc. All of them are given a unique identifying number. This is to identify the device from which the information is gathered. So the information gathered from various devices based on their unique identification number is analyzed, or if the data is to be sent to a far different place to a device, then the data is sent via internet or network. Or in other case, if the data is analyzed, the data obtained is analyzed, changes are made, and we can act on the environment or act on the area without human interaction with the help of other objects like actuators, etc. So this is the main reason why IoT system is fast developing. It helps us to gather data from a far different place, analyze the data, act on the data, and get the result to a far different place via internet without the help of human to human or human to computer interaction. So let's see. Why Python? Our topic is mainly focused on the logical designing of IoT system using Python programming. Actually, what is meant by logical designing? We know that physical designing mainly focuses on the storing and retrieving object data, the objects used, etc. While logical designing mainly focuses on the programming section or the coding section. Or we can say that logical reasoning is a way of giving instructions to those objects or sensors or actuators to perform their action. To collect, for example, to collect data from a sensor, to analyze the data, to act on the data, and to produce a possible result on the area using various other objects like actuators, we are given data in the form of instructions via a programming language. Because of this, there is no need of human to human or human to machine interaction. The machine itself analyze and produce a result on the affected area. So why Python? Why do we use Python for logically designing an IoT system? Python is an open source high level interpreted and general purpose dynamic programming language that focuses on code readability. The syntax in Python helps the programmers to do coding in fewer steps as compared to Java or C++. The Python is widely used in bigger organizations because of its multiple programming paradigms. Python is an open source high level interpreted and general purpose dynamic programming language, which means that Python is an open source high level language. We can develop Python language, or we can modify Python language, or we can use Python language for our own purpose without any barriers, which means Python is fully open source. But we may get the support from the Python org team, etc. But we can develop it for our own use, or we can use it for our own use. It's the main reason why Python is the use of Python programming languages increasing. The other thing is, while compared with other programming languages like Java and Java, C++, etc., Python is very simple, or we can say that Python is similar to English language. So it is easy for us to understand the language and study the language. And there are many other benefits why we use Python. We will discuss it. The benefits of using Python programming language. The first thing is, as I have said, it is easy to learn, read and maintain. Since Python programming language is similar to that of English language, and the keywords in Python programming languages are similar to that of English language, we can easily understand, we can easily recognize, or we can easily understand a program written by a different programmer. And at the same time, we can easily write a program by our own without a great effort. So this is the reason why we say Python is very easy to learn, since it is similar to our common English language. Next thing is, Python is object and procedure oriented. Procedure oriented programming means we write the programming steps from up to down, which means we write different steps of program, and we ask the computer or the machine to execute each step at a time, which means the program is executed for a specific procedure. This is called procedure oriented programming. And object oriented programming means, in this programming, the programming is related to objects in the real world or the real time. It depends upon the object's internal structure and properties. So the Python programming language supports both object oriented and procedure oriented programming. The next topic is extendable. We say that Python programming is extendable, or we can say that we can integrate other languages to the Python program, which means that in a big or in a main Python program, for a small module, we can use some other languages like C or C++ or Java to write small modules, and we can integrate those modules written in other languages to this main Python program. And the benefit behind this is that by using so, the executing speed or the processing speed of that particular module written in the C++ or such languages is more faster than that of the whole program written in completely Python language. So the integration of other languages to Python is an important feature, and it is called the extendable feature of Python programming language. The next thing is scalable. Due to the minimizing nature of the Python program, we can say that Python program is very small or compactable when compared to the same program written for a particular purpose in other programming language. Which means, if you write a program for a purpose in C++ or Java or C, when compared with the same program written in Python, the Python program is much smaller and much minimized. Or you can see it is much simpler. So we say that Python program is scalable. Next thing is portable, which is that we know that the Python is an interpreted programming language. So which means the programmer need to wait for the compilation or the linking of the program. It is because that the Python program executes directly from the source or the destination, which means that without further compiling it to the machine language or machine language program, the Python program executes directly from the source or directly from the destination. This is also an important feature of Python programming language. The next thing is broad library support, which means that Python provides a large library support, which means each library is a collection of modules or functions, etc., which is defined for a particular purpose. So if we need to do a particular purpose, if there are libraries already available, we can create the program with the help or support of that library, which makes our program more simple and which help us to write the program easily. And it also decreases the size of the program too. So Python provides a broad library support, and at the same time Python works in different operating systems like Windows. Python is available in Windows, Python is available in Linux, and it's also available in Mac OS. So what we are going to discuss in this seminar is that how we logically design an IoT system using Python, which means we are giving a basic introduction to the programming language Python. By understanding the Python programming language, then we'll develop the program for our own needs to create an IoT device for our own purposes. So here we are discussing how we write a Python program. So let's start. First we'll go through the Python data types. Data types are the classification or categorization of data items. Data types represent a kind of value which determines what operations can be performed on the data. Numeric, non-numeric, Boolean data are the most used data types, which means that each data has a type, which means whether it is numeric, we can say, or it can be non-numeric, or it can be Boolean data, which means it can have true or false values. So we categorize each type, we categorize data into different types based on this categories. So numeric, Boolean, sequence type, dictionary are other Python data types. So we will discuss each type. Here first we are discussing about the numeric type. Python includes three numeric types to represent numbers, to represent numbers. They are integer, float and complex. The three numeric types available in Python programming language are integer type, float type and complex type. So integer type: 0, positive and negative whole numbers without a fractional part and having unlimited precision, which means that any number which is not a fraction and not a complex number, the number is a real number, is called an integer, which means it can be a 0, it can be a positive number or it can be a negative number. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4 is a positive number, 0, minus 4, 5, 6 is a negative number, and this all are categorized under integer. Now the next section is float. Positive and negative real numbers with a fractional part denoted by the decimal symbol or the specific scientific notation using E or smaller tree. Example 1, 2, 3, 4.56, which means the numbers with a fractional part, positive or negative numbers with a fractional part, or the exponential numbers, etc., comes under the category float. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4.56, 0.56, the decimal part, it represents a float number because it's a fractional part. Similarly, we can say 1 is an integer, whereas 1.0 is a float type because there comes a decimal part. Okay, so that type of decimal part or the numbers which have a fractional parts comes under the category float. Next is complex. A complex number is a number with real and imaginary components. Example 5 plus 6. Complex numbers have a real and imaginary components, or it can only have a imaginary components also. Here we get an example 5 plus 6j. Here 5 is the real part. 6 multiplied by a complex number 6j is the imaginary part. So 5 plus 6j together is a complex numeric data type. The next thing is Boolean type. Data with one of two built-in values, true or false, which means Boolean type of data has only two possible outputs. Either it can be true or it can be false. We will say it in binary as. In binary we will say 1 for true and false we call it 0. Similarly, in Boolean data type we got two outputs, one is true and other is false. The main thing to be noticed in Python programming is that T and F of true and false should always be capital. Else, if T and F of true and false are small letter, it is not a valid boolean and the Python will throw it an error on them. Which means if we are using a boolean type, it has only two values, true and false. Its first letter should be capital. It is to be not. The next thing is sequence type. The sequence is an ordered collection of similar or different data types. Python has the following built-in sequence data type. Sequence means it is an ordered collection of similar or different data types. Means it can have either all integer values, all float values, etc. or it can have both integer values, float values, string values, etc. So let's see string. A string value is a collection of one or more characters put in single, double or triple quotes. Which means characters, a collection of characters. When put in a single quote, double quote or triple quote, it is called as a string value. Which means the Python prints the same value as a string value which is given in a quotation, like quotes like single quote, double quote or triple quote. For example, if you type print in single quote hello, the Python will give the output as hello. So Python considered the collection of characters which is given in the quotation as string data type. The next thing is list. The list object is an ordered collection of one or more data types, not necessarily of the same type, put in square brackets. The list object is mutable, which means the list object is an ordered collection of one or more data types. It can be a string, it can be an integer, it can be a float, it can be a boolean, etc. And it is represented by the collection in a square bracket. The main feature of the list is that list is mutable, which means we can modify the list, we can change the values of a list, which means we can alter the objects in a list. That is the reason why it is called as mutable. So list is an ordered collection of data of different data types which is mutable and which is represented by square brackets. The next thing is tuple. A tuple object is an ordered collection of one or more data types, as if like list, but not necessarily of the same type, put in parentheses. Unlike the list, tuple is immutable, which means tuple is similar to list like that. It is also an ordered collection of same or different data types, but it is put in parentheses. And the difference between list and tuple is that the tuple is immutable, which means we cannot change or alter the values in a tuple, or we can say we cannot change the objects of a tuple. So here order equal to parenthesis of one string JEFF string computer, float value 77.50 and a boolean value true. This cannot be altered, which means one has an index number of 0, JEFF the string value has an index number of 1 and so on. So this is immutable. Next sequence type is set. A set is a collection of data type in Python, same as list and tuple. However, it is not an ordered collection of objects which are separated by comma and enclosed in curly brackets. Set is also like tuple and list. It is it is a collection of data types same, or it can be it can have a collection of different data types. But the difference from it is that the difference of set from tuple and list is that set is not an ordered collection, which means we cannot select an object from a set with the help of an index number. Here in the list and tuple we say that the first index number is 0, second is 1 and so on, but we cannot select the objects from a list, from a set by using index number, and the set is represented by curly brackets. So these are the 4 types of sequence data types used in Python. The next data type is dictionary. Like the list and the tuple, dictionary is also a collection type. As we have said earlier, like list and tuple, dictionary also has a collection type. It can have any data type. It can have any data type, and it is a collection of data types. However, it is not an ordered sequence and it contains key value pairs. One or more key value pairs separated by commas are put inside curly brackets to form a dictionary object. Unlike tuple, list and set, dictionary has key value pairs, not just object, it has a key value pairs. And the thing is not that the key values are not of ordered sequence, which means for every key there is a specific value, and these key value pairs are separated by commas. It doesn't have an ordered sequence, but for each key there has a specific value. So let's see an example. Here capitals is a dictionary with the objects USA, New York, which means USA colon New York. It is a key value pair. It is an object in the dictionary. Similarly, France, Paris. It is a key value pair and it is an object in the dictionary. Similarly, Japan, Tokyo, India, New Delhi. Then we have many other features for dictionary. We can have many options to be done on the dictionary data type. So we can check an example. Capitals dot get France, which means we can get the value of a key value pair by specifying the key element. Here we can see that capitals dot get France. Here France is a key. When we ask for the dictionary to get the value of France, means get the value of the key France, it gives the result Paris. As we can see in the capitals dictionary, France has a value of Paris. Similarly, we can delete an object from the dictionary by using its key name. Here in the syntax for it is delete del, the dictionary name, and in the square bracket the key name. Here del capitals France. When it is done, the France pair, means the pair with the key name France is deleted from the dictionary. We can see that when the capitals is again written, USA, New York, Japan, Tokyo and India, New Delhi, France, Paris pair is removed from it. Such that many other many other steps can be performed on the dictionary. Next thing is type conversions. We know that there are different types of data in Python programming, as we have stated earlier, but there may be need to convert a type of data from to another type of data. The reason for this is, unlike other programming languages, if we assign a variable and if we give a value for that variable, Python automatically selects a data type based on the given value. For example, if we give a equal to 10,000, Python automatically sets a as an integer value. So if we need to take, or if we need to convert a to a string value, we can have the syntax str, and in the bracket we should given the variable name str of a, which gives the result 10,000 in single inverted commas, which means 10,000 integer value is converted into a string value. Similarly, next we can see b equal to double inverted commas 2030, which means here b is defined as or the Python recognizes b as a string value. But when we need to convert it to a integer value, we use the syntax int and in the bracket variable name int of b gives the value 2030, which is not in a inverted comma, so it is an integer value. Next thing is to convert it into float. We know that in the previous step we convert b to an integer value, and to convert it into a float value we give float of b, which gives the result 2013.0. When it is written 2013.0, it is has a fractional part or it has a decimal part, then it is a float data type. Thus, by using some syntaxes, we can convert one data type to other data type in Python programming language. Next, we come to the control flow statements. There are many control flow statements in Python programming language, which is one of the main part of a programming language. Here, first we will discuss if statement. Python uses the if keyword to implement decision control. Python syntax for executing a block conditionally is as below. For if statement or if control flow statement, Python uses the keyword if. The syntax is as if boolean expression, and in the indented block we write the statements. Next step is elif, or we can say else if boolean expression. In the indented block we write statement, else statements. How does it functions is that if the first boolean expression is true, then the indented block of statements is run. If it is to be false, then elif statement or the elif statement is run. If the boolean expression in the elif is also if true, the indented block corresponding to that is run, or if it is also true, then the statement in the else block is executed. This is how the control flow if statement works in Python. Next control flow is for statement. For loop is very different from that of other languages, which means for loop of Python programming language is different from that of other programming languages. You can see Python's for keyword provides a more comprehensive mechanism to constitute a loop. The for loop is used with sequence types such as list, tuples and set. Here for loop can be used with the sequence types like list, tuple, sets, which contains various data types, objects of various data types. The body of the for loop is executed for each member element in the sequence. The body of the loop, which means that the body of the for loop is executed for all element or all the objects in the sequence based on the index number. So we can see the syntax here for x in sequence. Statement 1, statement 2, statement n, which means that x represents the index number. For the index number, for the particular index number in the sequence, the following statements in the indented block is run. We can see an example. Here a list is given, my list of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. We know that list is an ordered pair and it has an index number. So the index number of the first element is always 0. So 10 has an index value 0, 20 has an index value 1, 30 has an index value 2 and so on. So we call the flow control flow statement for I in my list, and in the indented block we type print I. So the for statement executes in this manner. For I in my list, it takes the value 0 for I, which means it takes the value of index number 0 and executes that value is run in the indented block. So we can say first it go for the index value 0, the value is 10, it prints the value, so output is 10. The loop is repeated until the whole sequence or the whole object in the sequence is executed. That is why it is said that the body of for loop is executed for each member element in the sequence, and the output can be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 based on the index number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Next control flow statement. Next control flow statement is while statement. Python keyword while has a conditional expression followed by the colon symbol to start a block with increased indent. This block has statements to be executed repeatedly as long as the while condition is true, which means that we use for the control flow while statement we use the keyword while, and a expression is given in square bracket of the in a parenthesis in the while loop, a while statement, and after the colon symbol the indented block of data or indented block is executed until the expression in the while loop is to be true, which means while boolean expression, and in the indented block we give statement 1, 2. If the boolean expression is true, the statements in the indented block is true, else it will exit from the loop. Example, you can see num equals 0 while num is less than 5, which means here num equals 0, so of course num is less than 5. Num is increased to 1, num equal to num plus 1, 0 plus 1, print num equal to num. It will print the value of num then. This means since it is increased, the num value will be 1. So on it will print up to the condition is true, up to num is less than 5. Then after num is less than 5, it exits from the loop. So we can see it prints the value 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for corresponding num value 0, 1, 2, 3 and 2, 3 and 4. Next control flow statement is break keyword. It's a keyword. The break keyword causes the abandonment of pending iterations of the current loop. The execution of the program jumps to the statement immediately after the body of the loop, which means that the break keyword is usually used to exit the loop. Actually. So we can see here, for example, while num less than 5, num equal to num plus 1, print num equal to num. If num equal to 3, which means if the num variable num has a value 3, the intended block break is executed. If break is executed, then the program exits from the while loop, which means first it outputs the value num equal to 1, then it outputs the value num equal to 2, then when it outputs the value num equal to 3, then it realizes that, then it's not realizing, it actually proves the condition. If num equal to 3 to be true, then it gets exited from the while loop and execute the statement just after the while loop has out of the loop. So we can say that the break statement abandon the pending iteration. When the break is executed, the remaining iterations of the current loop is abandoned. Next control flow is continue keyword. The effect of a continue statement is somewhat opposite to the break keyword. Instead of abandoning the pending iterations of the loop, the continue statement skips the remaining statements in the current loop and starts the next iteration. Which means when a continue statement is run or continue keyword is run, it will abandon or it will skip the next intended block of statement in the current loop and go on for the next iteration. Which means here we can see num equal to 0 while num less than 5, num equal to num plus 1, if num equal to 3. If num comes to be 3, it will skip the step print num equal to num. Which means when continue is executed, it will skip the next intended block of the while loop. We can see the output as num equal to 1, 2, and when it comes to 3, it doesn't print the value 3 because that particular statement is skipped when the continue statement is. So actually continue statement is used to abandoning the pending iterations of the loop. Instead of abandoning pending iterations of the loop, the continue statement skips the remaining statements in the current loop. Means it will continue the next iterations, but it will skip the next iteration in the same intended block of the loop. Next one is control flow pass statement. The pass statement in Python is a null operation. Pass statement, pass keyword is a null operation. The pass statement is used when a statement is required syntactically, but you do not want any command or code to execute. Which means that as per the syntax of a particular loop or particular control flow statement, we need a statement or we need a body or we need a statement syntactically at a place. But actually we do not need to run a statement at that time, or we do not need to run an operation for that particular statement. Then we use a null operation which is called pass. For example, we can see here given a list: fruits, apple, orange, banana, mango, all are strings. For item in fruits, if item equal to banana, pass, else print item. Which means since it is a for loop, it selects the value according to the index number. First it selects the value apple, it checks whether it is equal to banana. If not, it will print the item by using the else statement. Then further goes on, when it reaches banana, then it will execute the if statement. If item equal to banana, then it will execute the pass keyword, which means no operation is performed. Instead it will go to the next step, which means next iteration. So we can see apple is printed, orange is printed. When banana came, the statement is not run. It is a null operation. Then it jumps to the next iteration and prints mango. So pass statement is in a Python is a null operation. It is only required when we need a statement syntactically for a control flow or a loop. Now the next thing or the most important thing is defining functions in Python. Functions can be defined using the combination of def and return statements. The keyword def and return are used to define functions in Python. The statement def is followed by the form of the function. After the def keyword, the function name is given, and in the parenthesis the parameters is given. And after a colon, the intended block of code creates the function. And then the block of code is given. The intended block of code is given for the function to run. Then we give a return value, and in that return value we give the expression to be executed. We can see the syntax: def function name, the name of the function. Then we give the parameters, can be a variable name. Next step is function docstring. Actually, it is an optional statement, which means it is similar to comment in a program, which means it is given only to understand the function or the property of this defined function. So function docstring is similar to comment, it is just an optional statement. So the function docstring, then the statement 1. This statement 1 given in the intended block is the body of the function. Then at the end we give the return, and in its in the back parenthesis we give expression to be executed. We can look the example def sqr of x. Here I define a function sqr for printing the square root of a number. So we can see def equal to sqr of x, where sqr is the function name, x is a variable. The body of the loop is print square root is and return x star x, which means when this function is called, it will print the value, it will print square rooters, it will print the string square rooters, then it will give the value x star x, return the value x star x, which is the expression. So we can see when I give sqr of 2, instead of x I give 2, then it prints the value square rooters, it prints the body string, then it returns the expression x star x. The value is 2 star 2, which is 4. Thus a function is defined. This is one of the most important feature in Python, and defining new functions help us to create a program simpler when we need same operation to be executed at various part of the main program. Okay. Next one is file IO operations or file input output operations. File input output operations is actually by using the Python code or by using the programming, we read a file, or we can edit a file, we can write data to a file, etc. Which means we are inputting or outputting data into a file and the operations associated. So you can see Python allows reading and writing to files using the file object. The open file name mod function is used to get a file object. To open an object or to open a file, we use the syntax open file name mod. The mod can be read, write, append, read and write, or etc. Which means the mods can be either we can read data from the file, we can write data to the file. Append means we can add data to the file, or read and write data to the file. There are other mods such as binary add, binary write, binary append, and so on. So mod determines what operation is done on the file. After the file contents have been read, the close function is called and closes the file object. Which means after the file contents have been read, or the operation write or read is done, or the mod is done on the object, on the open file object, close function is called to exit the program from further operating on that file. So we can see the example: f equal to open d colon slash myfile.txt comma w. Here the file name and mod is always given in an inverted comma. The first thing represents the location of the file d star slash myfile.txt. If you are placing the file in the same directory as the directory in which the Python program is running, then we may not need to mention the location of the file. We just need to type the name of the file name. Then the next thing is mod. Mod is also always given in a quotation, double quotes or single quotes. Then the operation done is f.write hello learn Python. While this statement is run, this is a syntax of writing the string to a opened file f.write for hello learn Python, where f is the file name, which means the we open a file, then file is defined by a name f, then we write hello learn Python string to that text document, then f.close, then the operation is stopped by closing the file. Then to check whether the data hello learn Python, the string, is written to the file, we can go for the next step. F equal to open of file name, file location, and we write r, which means the mod is read. Then we say we give rd equal to f dot read, which means f dot read and a double parenthesis, which means the value in the my file text is first represented by a variable f, then f dot rd equal to f dot read represents the string or the data in the text file is saved to the rd variable. Then after that we close the file, then we give print rd, which means the data in the text is already saved to the variable rd. Then if we give print rd, it should give the output as hello learn Python, as we have written in the previous step. So when this is executed, the data in the text which we already written hello learn Python is read and it is printed by the Python programming language. So these are the basic file operations done by Python programming language. So that's all from the topic. Actually here we go through a brief introduction in Python, and by understanding Python we logically design how to program an IoT device based on our requirements and our need. So that's all. For any further reference in the Python programming language, you can go through Google's Python class and Python's official home. Both of these websites gives a better knowledge, help you attain a better knowledge in the Python programming language. So that's all from the topic. If you have got any queries, you can contact me, and that's all. Thank you all.